Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it last.
How can we develop and apply a connection mindset? Welcome to Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. And I think coming out of the pandemic, I think more than ever, people became so much more aware or conscious of why it was important to be connected with each other. So to have us talk about this and unpack this for a bit is Quinten Sheriff. He's a podcaster. The name of his podcast, The Connectors. And he's a business consultant. Welcome, Quinten.
Hi, thank you so much for having me on the show, Noreen.
So what is this connection mindset? What is it?
That's a great question. The connection mindset is something that I'm developing with my co-host, Joe Showalter of the podcast. We're taking all of our guests that we have on the show, who are connection experts in their own way. And we're taking all of their insights and advice. And then I'm working this through artificial intelligence to create a mindset that will help people develop their possibilities for connection and move away from disconnection. So mindsets comes from the 1970s. And there was this Dr. Carol Dweck, and she came up with this idea of the mindset. And she said, our mind and the way that we think isn't fixed and static. It's more plastic and malleable, and it can change over time. And we can encourage these changes by nudging ourselves in positive directions for us. So out of mindsets, we get open mindsets and fixed mindsets. And we try and encourage people to have an open mindset to investigate new things around them and bring them into their system or their framework or their life. So we're taking all of these guests and their insights and running it through artificial intelligence, and that's giving us several different stages that we can help people be aware of how they can change their philosophy or their thought patterns to be more open to connection around them.
Interesting. So how can we develop it and then apply it?
So developing a connection mindset first needs us to realize that, okay, there's some area of disconnect in my life right now, and I'm suffering or I'm not gaining as much use of life or my frameworks around me or my community around me. So the first step is in acknowledging that something needs to change, and that something is an internal thought process that needs to change. So being aware that there is another way that is more flexible and open would be the first step. And then the second step would be to explore and have little experiments in connection. Just try and see these as ways that can help you see that there is a different light, there is a different way of doing things. So perhaps some ideas could be chat to a stranger on a bus, or if you're getting a coffee in a cafe, chat to the person in the line before or behind you. Little experiments that just...
I'm smiling because just recently I went to the only person I knew, excepting for those who I met just before, because I went to a retirement party with a friend of mine. I don't know these people. I don't know. Right. And they were having a karaoke bit. And I love to sing, and I really don't sing often enough. And I found myself doing it in front of a bunch of strangers. So
Awesome.
You're saying that I'm saying, it's actually interesting because I tried it, inadvertently, and it was fun.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it was fun. It was fun.
Karaoke is so much fun.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
continue.
that's so interesting that just flagged a little insight for you
Yeah.
there. Yeah. So that would be the next thing, is just trying little experiments and seeing what works and what doesn't work. But focusing on the word little, like you're not going out there and trying to get a new partner or get a new job, like a huge connection project. You're just having a little 5-minute chat and moving on with your day and going, wow, that works. Okay, I should do more of that. And then after that, you would have a look and see, are there any things that are really not working for me, and why are these not working? And that might lead to a list of things that show a gap in something that you know or that you need to try and practice or be aware of. So I know that I'm really good at active listening, and I love listening to people and taking in all of the things that they say, but then I'm not as chatty as other people. I can't give as much small talk, for example. So one thing that I need to work on is, especially if I'm in a networking situation or a group of a lot of people and I've got to get my message out there, is I have to be comfortable having small talk and having elevator conversations. And that's a gap that I need to work on for myself.
Don't you think, though, that for anybody to recognize that there is a disconnect, there's a certain level of awareness that you have to have? And more often, I don't think a lot of us have that.
That's very true. Unfortunately, going inside and feeling our feelings inside and becoming aware of our internal world can be quite a frightening, scary thing for people to do. And you can see, like, I used to teach yoga. I was a yoga teacher for 6 years before the pandemic. And a lot of people are not comfortable with meditation because it means that you are left with your thoughts and only yourself. And you've got to go beyond that to start becoming aware of yourself and not ignoring, but just quieting down or shutting down the voice that's the loudest and at the top of mind, to then go into awareness and a deeper sense of self. And you're completely right. People find this a very tough thing to do, and they're often not able to do it. Hi, my name is Quinten Sheriff, and you're watching the Making It Last podcast with Maureen Daly. And I know you're enjoying this conversation, but we're going to take a break now to hear a word from our partners.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past, we're making it last. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors: Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics, or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
Is that true?
I recently have been coached by the great Miss Noreen Daly. I own a video company. I'm also an online influencer. So I do a lot of speaking virtually and in person. She was able to point out some of my weaknesses that I didn't yet notice. And I 100% recommend Miss Noreen Daly as your coach.
Noreen Daly, redefining the way you communicate.
Making it last is all I care to do. You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it last. Mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, friends forever.
Welcome back. I'm Quinten Sheriff. Let's continue the conversation.
I think people are afraid of feeling their feelings, and because it can be frightening, and if you're not prepared to deal with that, it can be a bit unnerving.
Yeah, it totally can. And I think that that comes back to our societies where we really try to push the positive all the time. I'm happy, I'm okay, I'm doing well. Look at me. But we're not honest, because half of our feelings, or even more than half of our feelings, can be negative, you know?
Yeah, they're not happy feelings. Yeah.
They're not happy feelings. And we just try to we just try to push them away and stick another nice feeling in its place. But it's like a train. There's always another carriage with feelings coming down the track. So
yes. We've talked a lot about the developing. Now, do you think you've touched a bit on the applying, or you think you've basically been, interspersing both at the same time?
I think I've been interspersing both. Okay, that's what I think. But I might clarify some things and say that once you've started your little experiments and you've seen that these are going in the right direction, build on these and look at the connections that are working for you. Recognize that these are natural strengths and try and put these into practice a bit more.
How has this worked for you? Because you couldn't be telling us to try this if you haven't tried this yourself. So how has this worked for you, having this connection mindset?
So we're still developing it, but I am so excited by this already, because the energy that is coming back from the work that I've been doing has been showing me that I'm going in the right direction. So the podcast is one project that I do, and I do other projects that are related to community growth or Black, Indigenous, people of color, police discrimination, for example. And I made changes at the beginning of this year, feeling this connection mindset driving me and encouraging me to move in certain directions. And I've managed to get work contracts from this change, which is pulling in some financial consideration, which is obviously amazing to help encourage and support me. I am working with different groups and organizations who I would never have thought of reaching out to, but because I'm now in a different track, these opportunities are opening themselves up to me, and people are recognizing the value and the use of working in this direction as well. And you mentioned Pete Bombacci, who was a guest on your show. So like I'm also very much connected to the Genwell Project, and I see that they're trying to work more nationally. And if I could do something like that in Quebec, in the province that I'm in, then how amazing would that be to start a nationwide connection movement? So I definitely see it working in my life, yeah.
Nice. I think inadvertently I do have that, because some years ago I had a guest on, I don't remember his name, but he introduced me to this whole concept of connection moments. So one of the things that I've been very deliberate about in the last year or so is that every weekend I pick 2 or 3 persons who I haven't spoken to in a while or been in touch in a while, whether it's a friend or a family member. And I'm deliberate about reaching out. If it's just a message or a quick call to say, how are you? How have you been? So, and I call them my connection moments. I've been very deliberate. Every weekend, there is somebody who I'll reach out to who I don't talk to on a regular basis. And it's actually helped to strengthen some connections and just renew some. So
Amazing.
in my own little way, I'm doing that as well. So
I love that idea. That's really resonating with me. I need to listen to that episode of your podcast and maybe borrow the idea.
Yeah, I think it's from Jachenko or something. I don't remember. It was like a year or more ago. Because thankfully to COVID, and I'm gonna say thankfully, so I discovered podcastguest.com, and through that, I've really, been able to connect with people literally scattered all over the world. So
amazing.
Yeah. So
awesome. I'll look that up as well.
Yeah, you should. It's a good resource. But as we're wrapping up though, anytime people are to change, it can be uncomfortable, it can be difficult. But for somebody who will say, I am going to try this, I think this is a step in the right direction. For those uncomfortable moments, what's going to be your bit of advice? Because the uncomfortable moments will come. And they might try to connect with somebody and they don't quite get the response that they would like.
Yeah.
What's your advice?
Yeah, you're talking about rejection, and that can be very tough. No one likes feeling rejected and turned down for something. I would encourage that person to take it easy on their emotions with themselves, and perhaps try and imagine forward in the future in a different situation where it worked successfully. And how does that look like? What does that feel like? What do you see? What are you hearing? And you're going to hear and see a positive relationship, a positive example of connection. And hopefully that will make you realize that this rejection is just one step, and you can use it as a rock, and you can step on it to move on to the next situation.
Excellent note to end on. Thank you so much for sharing, Quinten. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, Noreen. I've loved these conversations, and I've loved being a guest on your show. So thank you.
Thank you. This was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
You loving me, I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life.